Hey, welcome back to Dirty Dave's Garage. Just wanted to make a quick video, talk a little bit about at least the Mark IV Volkswagen Golf cars. Probably affects Jettas too. They're very similar, but there's a problem a lot of people have where their brakes, their rotors keep getting warped. They're getting a lot of shake in the front end. I purchased this car from a co-worker really cheap. I'm fixing it up for my kids to drive, but he had this problem, and he had, his Volkswagen mechanic worked on it a couple times, put new brake pads, brake rotors. 5-6 months later, the problem comes back, starts shaking real bad. So what I did was, I got it I brought it home, and I rebuilt the front end. Like, I put new end links. I got inner tie rods, but it didn't really need it. And I'm not going to go into any of these procedures. I've already done it all, and there's a million videos out there you can look at. But it's more important to talk about why his brakes kept warping. And when I tore this thing apart, I pulled the control arms out, which you can, this is the control arm down here. There's a bushing here, the front bushing, and then a rear bushing here. And the rear bushings were shot. I mean, they were just toast. There was hardly any rubber holding the thing back together. And you do have to press them in, press them out. It's a bit of a job, but you can also buy a new control arm for like 50 bucks preloaded. But I didn't want to do that. I have a little shop press here. I knew I could press them in, and I put upgraded Audi TT bushings in mine, which are solid rubber. I know you can't see it here, but the Volkswagen ones, they're not solid rubber. They have voids in the bushing going around in the back, and it rips between the holes. So I did that, put new ball joints in while I had it apart, and new tie rod ends. The actual inner tie rods weren't too bad, so I didn't end up replacing them. But I also found some new pads and rotors, even though the ones he had were in really good shape, but they got warped, and you're not supposed to really machine down the Volkswagen rotors from what I understand. But I found a nice kit, and I'll try to put a link down below, off of Amazon, 50 bucks from someplace in Canada. I think they're called Max Brakes. I already threw the box out, but came with the pads, and these pads have the electrical connection, to tell you when it's getting low, when the pads are getting low. So you had to make sure you get the right ones. But it came with pads and rotors for like 50 bucks for the front. Both rotors, both sets of pads, and they really work good, and they're ceramic brake pads. So the old brake pads that his mechanic put on were those crappy semi-metallic ones, and they just make the wheels, they cover the wheels in that black brake dust, and I'm not a big fan of that. But I just wanted to tell you, I also put new shocks. I noticed this shock over here was leaking real bad, and I found a set of shocks, all 4 shocks, 130 bucks. So I replaced all the suspension, pretty much, except for in the shock. The front shocks even came with the springs and everything ready to pop in. I didn't even have to use my spring compressor to put them on. It was a pretty easy job, but a little bit of money, and this thing's running like a champ. I mean, the steering is so much tighter now. Took all the slop out of the front end, and I'm pretty sure that's going to fix the problem with the brake rotors warping on me, or warping on him when he had it. But hopefully this will help somebody. You can't just put new rotors on and hope the problem goes away, because it's probably your bushings, or maybe even your bushings and your suspension combined. So you might have to put a little money out, but like I said, I'll show you how to get the stuff cheap. I'll put some links below to some of the parts if you're having this problem. But save yourself some headache. Get these parts and then just go get a front end alignment after you slap them on, and you should be good to go. See you next time. Later.